Pizza time!
Hello, and welcome to episode 1 of the CODEKrusty Show. Today, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. We are your hosts, Cody the Code Norberg and Adam CODEKrusty. And today, it's going to be amazing. Cody, what do you have for us?
Pizza. It's all about Ninja Turtles, the greatest thing to come out of 84 since me. I mean, there's not much more else to say about that, except for this whole episode's going to be about it.
Yes!
So, yeah. I found that out. I am like 12 days or something like that older than the Ninja Turtles.
Dang, nice.
Yeah, since the very first comic book that came out in May of 84. So, as I came out in 20 of 84, like I said, we're both rocking 30 years of awesomeness.
Nice.
And it is because of... I'm going to look on the side here to my little notes that I have, because I only want to make sure I get these guys the biggest props. Kevin Eastman and Peter Laird. It is because of them and their whole franchise that I discovered my favorite food, which has always and will be pepperoni pizza. Like, I don't care about any other flavors. Give me pepperoni pizza. I don't care if it's the cheap stuff, if it's the expensive stuff. If it's pepperoni pizza, I'm happy. So that's what I'm doing. And I'm also going to be drinking some energy drink that has nothing to do with Ninja Turtles. But as I've been up since 4 o'clock this morning, had to, I couldn't go back to sleep, so I played some games. Went to a lackluster parade that I wasn't too excited to go to, but I did it because, the woman wanted to. And then we ventured off to the Wagon Masters Chili Cook-Off, which was very disappointing this year.
Yes.
But I think
unfortunately
that's going to change next year. Do you want to go ahead and throw that out there?
Yeah, I think all things going as they should, that the CADcast network is going to be sponsoring our own tent for the chili feed next year, and I will be doing my own specialty chili, and we might even throw in a couple of others. We'll see what happens. But hopefully it'll all work out, and that should, maybe we'll even win. It'll promote the podcast. Speaking of the CADcast network, we have announcements. Announcements galore. So we're going to be starting... You have actually already restarted one of your podcasts so far, and there's 2 episodes out on it. One is audio only. The other one is audio and video. Yeah. And I should have it up about the same time I have this one up. I have the editing done on it. I just have to edit in this one and do a couple of others. I also have 3 podcasts myself that I'm going to be starting here, and 2 of those should be out tomorrow as well. One is Ale, the Atheist Libertarian Experience, which I'll just kind of talk about the issues of the day regarding religion and politics. Should be a fun show. It'll just be me and the Krusty Weight Loss Show. Because, as you can see here, I got a lot to lose. And when you sit there and have to stare at yourself for hours while you're trying to edit a video, yeah, maybe not so much fun to look at. But I've been needing to get healthy. I've been going to the gym. Feeling really good about myself so far. So we're doing pretty well with that. I give you
all the props in the world for going healthy. I will say this as I'm sitting here like a fat ass myself eating pizza. I will not be an official part of your ale show and your weight loss show, but I myself should probably not eat as much pizza as I do, and I will probably appear on that every now and then. And just like your ale episode, people who know me, I am atheist myself, but I can honestly give a fuck less about politics, but I have my own reasons behind that, and if there's an episode or a topic that you're going over, I'll make an appearance, because I like to be all over the place, because I am.
Yeah, maybe you can join on the first one. It's going to be about discrimination, whether it be religious or otherwise, in the public and private sectors. So that should definitely be a fun topic to go over, and I can't wait to get it recorded. I'm going to record that tonight as soon as I get home. So that's going to be fun. I'm excited about that.
Cool. But let's take it to a much more laid-back approach today, because,
absolutely,
like I said, it's all
turtles.
About the turtles.
Yes.
We're going to kind of, not really, we don't have a full structure, but we will talk about each of their films that they had, each of their shows, their comic series, the legacy that it is of pulp culture, and, why we love Turtles.
Absolutely.
So let's go ahead and just jump into our first exposure of Turtles, which, even though, like I said, both came out in 1984, I was not exposed to it until the cartoon series, which came out originally in 1987. So, Jesus Christ, man, I would have been 3. I don't even know how I remember watching Turtles for the first time, but yeah.
Yeah, I was 7 at the time, so I definitely do. That's when I really got into Turtles and started collecting the awesome toys. I had
Playmates, right?
I believe so.
It'll
I'm
be
not
down
entirely
there.
sure. Somewhere.
Just like right around a cartridge, it's going to
yes,
say Playmates.
Down here.
Like how I said that, Playmates, while we're pointing down to our cartridge.
Yes.
Our arches. So,
yes. Yeah. But I just remember, I know I had all 4 of the Turtles, and I had a couple of other characters too. I didn't have a whole lot, but I had a friend who lived on the street when I was a kid, and he had the van, he had the Technodrome, he had all the really awesome ones. The ones that you actually wanted to take with you. I'm just like, this is amazing. This is exactly what I want. And he had it all, and we'd go over there and play with them all the time. And I don't know if you remember the toys or not, but do you remember the ones that talked?
Oh, yeah.
With you, with the pull string. I had all of those as well. It was a lot of fun. They sure did like to play with Transformers. Just saying.
One of my biggest disappointments as a child is when we moved from, I think possibly Goose Creek, South Carolina, or something like that, to Lusk, Wyoming. It wasn't the fact that we moved because, whatever, we moved. But because there was limited space on the moving truck, even though I packed all of my toys, it fell off the back of the truck, as my dad would say. I did not have any of my Ninja Turtles or any of my Transformers figures. And I had all of the Transformers Series 1 toys, but Turtles, I believe, had every single figure. Because every freaking time that it was, my allowance money, I didn't get my allowance. It's like, I wanted a new figure. And
right.
If I did good, I would get other ones. If I was fussy in the store, my dad was just like, shut up, here's another one. But I remember one Christmas, I got the blimp, I got the Technodrome,
nice.
I got the sewer set, and I was like, so
this is amazing.
Yeah, I did nothing but Turtles. My first experience that I remember individually going to the theaters was seeing Ninja Turtles 2, and when Shredder's hand comes out of the garbage, I remember jumping and my dad putting his arm around me, and it was one of my first huge memories that I have of, like I said, my first theater experience that I ever remember, and a great memory of, just that I had with my dad. So,
yeah, I remember, I think my parents took me to go see one, or we watched it on video. I can't remember, VHS, because we're old and VHS was still around, and that's sad. But
speaking of VHS, right quick, not to interrupt your story, did you guys have the Pizza Hut VHSs that always had that commercial for Pizza Hut in the beginning?
No.
Oh, we did.
Yeah, we didn't order Pizza Hut a whole lot. It just wasn't our thing. We did Angelo's, which was awesome when it was around. We do Angelo's all the time, but yeah, not so much Pizza Hut. So we never had any of the Pizza Hut videos.
Oh, I think. Not my copy of 2, but my copy of the original Turtles movie was the one that always had that same commercial, the Pizza Hut. I watched that tape so many times, over and over and over again. I still remember, every trailer that would come across, and, how it was all scratched up in the beginning, because I'd be fast-forwarding through stuff to get to parts.
No, I don't want to watch this. Fast-forward through it. Yeah, bad. No, and I can't remember, but I know I went with the guy who had all the Turtles. His older brother was going to take him, and so I got some money from my parents, and I got to go see it with my friends without my parents, and it was amazing for Turtles 2. I was like, "This is the best thing ever."
It really is.
It definitely is. And then I just collected them. And then I kind of fell out of Turtles for a while until I watched the cartoons, but I didn't even get into some of the later cartoons at all. I kind of just skipped over them. until the most recent one. So the one from 2012.
Yeah.
I got into, and it is really, really good. I like that one a whole bunch. It is.
I'm going to go ahead and throw this out there, but we're going to backpedal a little bit to talk about each of the different versions of it. But the original Turtles did have the best theme song of all time from the series.
Yes.
It is very iconic, but the current one that's on Nickelodeon is the best version of the Ninja Turtles by far.
I would say that it's probably that, and then the 80s. That one, and then the 80s.
Because the 80s one is the iconic.
Yes.
The 2003 show was actually okay, but it wasn't the 80s, and it wasn't this current.
Right.
But like I said, I'm going to go and pull up my quick little handy-dandy guide thing.
Excellent.
So let's see. Talk about when the first cartoon came out. The movies. Let's go and talk about the original trilogy of the film. We'll go back to the cartoons in a minute.
Okay.
So the first Turtles movie came out in 1990, and did not realize it at the time. When it got older, went back and watched it, it actually kind of followed the more grittyishness of the original comic series, and it was actually pretty dark and violent. It was at the time the most successful independent film of all time, because even though it was a big franchise, nobody wanted to make that as a movie.
Yeah.
Jim Henson's Creature Shop ended up doing all the suits for him and everything like that. And man, that first movie still holds up to today. It does have that grainy film to it. It's very it looks rough, but it's filmed that way on purpose. But it's so awesome. And I love that movie. Threw it to Casey Jones. It did I knew everything that was going on in that movie because I've watched all the episodes as a kid and cartoon. But man, that movie just was amazing. And it was nothing ever like that at its time.
No, there really wasn't. Maybe Labyrinth, but
Labyrinth, yes, Labyrinth was out, but it's not the same.
The work that they did just to get everything working on the Turtles, and it was pretty impressive. You didn't see that very much in movies, at least not like that, where they're in the suits actually doing all the moves.
Yeah, and those suits were the suits were 80 pounds, and then the heads were fully animatronic, and I think they're 30 or 40 pounds a piece for the heads.
Something like that, yeah. And, it was ridiculous.
I remember Ernie Rich Jr. was in the suit of Donatello, who ended up becoming, Kino in Turtles 2, but seeing full-on martial artists in these huge suits, making it very believable, and then Shredder being creepy, the Foot Clan, and it was so amazing to see that. That's the reason why that tape got watched so many freaking times.
Yeah,
I loved it. And then Turtles 2, going back to Secret of the Ooze as more adultish, it's not it holds up as well enough for the kid at heart, but they never used their Leonardo never used his swords really against anybody in Secret of the Ooze, because that was the big thing. Because I know in Europe or something like that, nunchucks are illegal, so that's why in the cartoon Michelangelo stopped using his nunchucks, and he had that grappling hook type thing, and everybody was worried about violence. So the violence was really toned down for Secret of the Ooze, and the comedy factor bolted up, which apparently was a set off of some fans. But for me as a kid when that came out, which was in 91, I was this is cool to me.
Yeah.
And to this day, you have known me, we discussed this on our last episode 0. You've known me for 8-ish years or so.
Yes.
My standard text message has always been, go Ninja, go Ninja, go.
Yes. So, every time I text him, mine's Chewy, but I like Star Wars.
I do too, but Vanilla Ice, go Ninja, go.
Vanilla Ice.
I'm proud to say, in a very non-proud way, that I know that dance. I can't dance. I'm the epitome of white boy fever. I know the Go Ninja Go dance, because I watched that movie so many times. I would dance it. I would be goofy. Hell, I was in college. My first time I ever went to a freaking club, I was like, this is not my scene, but I was going to dance to, like, I just put it up there and did that, walked away and got a whole bunch of numbers. And I was like, whoa. Apparently turtles can help you get laid when you're in college. That's something for you kiddos out there for your future lives. But, yeah. The biggest disappointment for me, though, as a kid, but I still love Secret of the Ooze, is for some reason they did not want Rocksteady and Bebop.
Yeah,
so we got Toka and Razor. Babies! You got me? Babies! I always love that part of the movie.
Yeah, that was really...
a disappointment, right?
Yeah, because Bebop and Rocksteady were such a iconic portion of the cartoon itself that we were watching during that time frame, that when you got
more mutants in the movies and it wasn't them, you're like, what?
Yeah, and they were really bad mutants as well, and you're just kind of like, oh.
And what kind of made me a little upset about it is, like, it was Toka and Razor being, wolf, Toka being a snapping turtle, but in the cartoon there was a snapping turtle Slash. So why wasn't it not Razor and Slash?
Yeah.
So it made no sense, but it was still cool. I think right now we should just go ahead and show that little baby's part. We'll make a clip somewhere about Toka and Razor and the turtles right around here.
Mama? Get off me!
That's what I'm talking about. Like, it was not Rocksteady and Bebop, but it was still good.
It was okay. I have a different view on that particular thing. For me, Toka and Razor are kind of like the Krang in the new series. It bothers the crap out of me.
But I love the Krang in the new series. But we'll get to that. Then the disappointment of the franchise. And I'm going to say, like, I know we'll talk about the new Michael Bay one in a few moments, but I know you did not enjoy that one as much as I did, and I still awkwardly enjoyed it and didn't.
No,
but
we'll get into that, though.
But Turtles 3 is by far the worst Turtles thing ever. Like, I like the Archie comics better than that. I like all the cartoons. Like, Turtles 3, like, it was kind of like Turtles in Time, which was an amazing video game. But
yes, it was an amazing video game.
But the movie, this is so disappointing. Like, you'd think Turtles going back to Samurai days would be really cool.
And it wasn't.
Like,
it was
the
really,
suits.
really lame.
I don't know what it was. Like, the suits from the first one looked badass. The suits from the second one looked more like their cartoon-ish versions of them. The suits in 3, they had, like, all this bright color. Like, it looked like rubber. Like, the other ones,
it looked bad.
The other ones, it looked like, okay, these guys are part of our lives. Like, it's
they
real.
were trying to without having the CGI.
Yeah, and the third one, I was just like, why do these guys don't look like it looks like somebody's in a rubber suit for those.
Yeah, it was not a pleasant experience, and the acting was by far the lowest that I've seen, at least for the series so far. I mean, even though I didn't like the new one, it still had better actors than what was in 3.
I say that's the worst, but there was one other thing that arguably can be also considered the worst. I'm going to put it as a tie. There was that really shitty Ham Saban series.
I don't think I ever actually watched that.
You shouldn't.
Okay.
Like,
we're giving you a warning now. Don't waste your damn time.
Like, don't waste your time. But it's like, they used those same suits from 3 that they used for the Ham Saban Ninja Turtles live action series, which brought in a 5th turtle, which was Venus de Milo, which that was kind of like, oh, cool, there's a chick turtle. Like, that whole thing was garbage as well. So, of anything Turtles, I'm saying stay away from that live action show and the third one. Anything else, if you get your hands on it and it's Turtles, it's awesome.
Yes, pretty much. Even the stuff that you've shown me, the Turtles Forever, and all the video games, loved all the...
Man, Okay.
Okay, I can't say I've loved all the video games. I've loved most of the video games. I even had, and I don't know if you had them, the little handheld games that you could buy individually. I had all of them, and they were awesome. The little like black and white scrollers, and you could so much fun to play. I still have working Turtles 2 on it.
That's awesome.
Yes, I should have. Had I been out to my mom's, I would have picked it up and brought it for today just to show you. It is amazing. It's super awesome.
Now, I did want to go ahead and jump into the other shows and the other movies, but because we brought up the games, all the games are awesome, except for, and this is how I literally labeled it on my notes. The uber difficult, goddamn you fucking seaweed, original Nintendo game. Do you remember swimming through that bullshit?
Jeez. Yes.
That game was so freaking difficult for no freaking reason. Like, I never beat that one. Like, I've tried to beat every game that I've ever played on, even if it's like years later when I played an emulation. That game, never. Even with the Game Genie and like cheating and everything like that, with all the cheats, trying to use invincibility. Yeah. That seaweed just destroyed everything, and it made no sense.
It was horrible.
The only way that you could beat Bebop is with Donatello, and you were up in this little area and you're poking him out of his stick, and it took forever, but the time always ran up because that was when games had time limits.
Yes,
that first NES Turtles game, even though it had a badass cover, horrible, but hands down the best Turtles video game, Turtles in Time.
Yes, love Turtles in Time. I rented that so many times. I don't know why my parents just didn't buy it for me. They should have, because I played it and played it and played it.
Did you have it on, or did you rent it on Sega or on Super?
At the time, it was a Sega. Okay. Is what I had. And I'd also played at my friend's house, too, between that and Mortal Kombat. Because who didn't play Mortal Kombat? Because
it was weird. I think it was on the Super Nintendo, it was called Turtles in Time. And on 3, it was like the Manhattan Project or something weird. And then also Turtles in Time. It was the same game, which was the port of the 4-player arcade version. Did you ever play the arcade version? With 4 other people or 3 other people and you?
Not typically, no. It was, we'd play 2-person. We rarely got together in groups of 4.
Well, I'm saying for the arcade, not for the, like, at home, but, like, out in the arcade or, like, they always had them at...
I didn't have an arcade close because I was living in Rose Hill at the time, so I had no way to get to an arcade here, so I never got to play it like that.
Because I was in Wyoming at Godfather's Pizza, and we always would go, and I'd always get money, and I would always play Sunset Riders, and me and my buddy Scott, shout out to you, my friend, we would play the Turtles one whenever it was there, and then like whoever else was there, like it's 4 players at the same time, so everybody got to play.
Yeah.
And even though he's my favorite turtle by far, Raphael, he had 0 reach in that game, but he was faster than everybody, very slightly. Like
Raphael, the worst character to play in every single Turtles game ever.
No, not ever.
Well, I always thought so.
Range wise, I'll give you that for a little bit. But man, like we played that game so many freaking times, and like there's like how your parents should have bought you the game because of how many times you rented it.
Right.
I should own that arcade machine for how many quarters I put in that thing.
Right. That's actually something that I might even make a podcast about, is making a tabletop game station so that we can go back and play the Turtles arcade game.
Dude, if we can build an arcade cabinet of any sort, oh my god.
We should totally do that. That would be awesome.
That would be very awesome.
Yes, absolutely.
Help us. If you know how, tell us how.
Oh, it's easy. There's videos on it already.
Oh, good, because this is my dream.
Because somebody else has already done it. Actually, Tested is doing it right now. They're building a game cabinet already, and it looks pretty slick.
So that has always been one of my dreams. Going off on a side thing is to own an arcade machine. Like I always wanted to play either like Street Fighter is my favorite arcade game ever. You know, Street Fighter 2 and onwards. I've always wanted either that, the X-Men arcade game, or the Turtles arcade game, because those were the ones that I played most of my arcade experiences on. Love it. But that's for another show.
Absolutely.
But, like I said, go back to the games just one more time. Fucking seaweed.
Fuck that seaweed.
let's go ahead and show that fucking seaweed right
Damn
now.
seaweed.
Let's go ahead and just cut backwards a little bit, or maybe forward in time. Turtles in time, forward. There was a couple different versions of the Turtles in the realm of TV. We already talked about just a little bit, and we'll go back and do a whole cartoon segment about that. But I do want to mention that there was a second Turtle series that came out in 2003 that ran into 2009, which I didn't realize it went on that long either. And it was okay. It followed closer attuned to some of the comics, with the Purple Dragons and Hun, and just, I don't know, it was weird. I didn't really like that one as much. I watched it still, but it wasn't particularly my favorite. But they did have some cool episodes, and they did episodes based off of the comics, but some of the toys that they had, when they became their anime superhero figures were like that. They had full episodes about that, so it always continued to entertain me, because unlike you mentioned earlier how you kind of dropped off the Turtles and got back into it, I never left.
I got pretty hardcore into Star Wars when I was about, I want to say 11, where my parents had got me the books, and I just shifted into hardcore Star Wars, and Transformers and Legos was pretty much all I was doing for quite a while.
Yeah, and right around that time, I still watched a bunch of Turtles, but that's when I discovered comics and really got into X-Men and stuff.
Yeah.
Was towards the tail end of the original series, but I still, like I said, I've always kept up on it. Other than that cartoon, which we won't really mention of it, you can find, we might post a link of that, or you can just look it up as 2003 series. It's okay. It's somewhere down there on, show notes.
IMDb's your friend. We'll just put it that.
Yeah, it really is. Then there was the CG film, which was just called TMNT. And that was very eclectic of what it wanted to take. Some stuff was from the comics, some stuff was from the original series and the 2003 series. The biggest change of it was that was our first film version of Karai, who is Shredder's daughter, or is she? We don't know. And I enjoyed it. I remember going to the theaters and see it, and it had a really badass fight scene between Raphael and Leonardo, and I was was not expecting this from a CG Turtles film, so I was Raphael, always my man.
He is one of my favorite characters out of all of them. It's between him and Donnie for awesome characters, but maybe there's a reason for that. Maybe they were voiced by this. Anyways, we'll get into that in a minute.
And then we kind of skipped over this, but it's kind of more a part of its legacy. And I wish that we're going to go give a shout out to Robert Dodrell. He made our kick-ass logo that we have right now for the CODEKrusty show.
Yes.
He always told me when the Turtles Coming Out of the Shell tour came out, he was in the in the crowd, and they were running and doing the things, and one of their spikes that they had on their thing cut him, almost filleted his arm open and everything like that. I was oh, that's amazing, because
that thing, the cheese factor.
Oh yeah,
it was just hey, we realize this isn't the 80s, but let's go right back to the 80s.
And they were on Oprah, and I remember there's a really uncomfortable clip online on YouTube. We're not going to show that, but we will post a link to it where Oprah's talking to them with April. So so which one of the turtles would you be dating? It's whoa, interspecies erotica, way back then. What the fuck?
It's wait a minute, that's a little creepy, but aren't they just doing that now again?
Kind of, maybe, but it's not as live action as they were
trying to push for. It was it's not quite as awkward.
And then something that I don't even remember where I ended up finding this or seeing it originally, but in 2009 they put out a film. It was a TV movie called Turtles Forever. I think it was either on Cartoon Network or on Fox or something like that they put it, or whenever I saw it, and it was the final closing to the 2003 series. But in that, they ended up hopping dimensions, and they actually adventured to the 80s and met their 80s counterparts, where they were all like, just totally rad and awesome and pizza time and like never doing anything. Like they had like walking pizzas and everything was a joke to them, while the 2003 was more serious. And then they also ended up seeing their, the black and white Eastman and Laird comics, where they were all very like film noir, ruthless and grittiness. And then they fought both versions of Shredder and the Krang, and like it was just a really rad feature. But one of my favorite parts in it is Shredder's talking about the multiverse, and you see on the walls like their Archie versions, their movie versions, the just different comic covers, the babies. And then I thought it was rad. We just watched a little bit right before here.
Yeah.
He actually had like, I don't know if it was directly what they influenced the new Turtles cartoon from, or if it was like concept art from the TMNT film from 2007 that they did not use. But our version of Turtles, they actually had a picture up on the wall before that was even a show. And that was like, whoa. So we'll go ahead and make sure that clip gets shown right here.
In the multiverse, they will interfere in the plans of the Shredder. Our epic battle is never going to end unless I put an end to Turtles forever.
God, I love that freaking Turtles Forever. It was rad.
It was a really good little hour and 15-minute. It's like wouldn't even call it a movie. It's like a short.
Yeah, like
it was really good
for a TV show being a movie or a cartoon show. I mean, it was a TV cartoon movie, but man, that was so freaking cool, and really enjoyed that. And then we jump into the 2012 series that came out on Nickelodeon, which is amazing. At first, I did not like the animation. At first,
I could say that when I started it, because I don't think I started watching it until after I had seen the new movie, and that it was far better than I thought the movie was, animation wise, like the character design wise.
Yeah,
and I'm kind of a fan of anime as well. So that whole kind of super cheesy, they get the big eyes popping out when they act surprised, and they kind of get that whole slightly anime sort of style going on. I really liked it. Like right off the bat, I was definitely into it. It also helps that Rob Paulsen is voicing Donatello.
And why did you like Rob Paulsen? And you mentioned why Raphael and Donatello were your favorite characters.
It could just be that maybe Rob Paulsen also did the voice for Raphael in the 80s series, and did the voice for Donatello in the latest series. And the cast that they have for the new ones is actually really surprising when you go and look at it.
Yeah, because we had Jason Biggs as Leonardo,
right?
And then he dropped out apparently in the middle of last season.
Did he?
And then there was a new guy that took over, and for season 3 that's coming out, Seth Green's taking over the role.
Yeah.
But it all sounds almost exactly the same, so it's not that big of a deal.
Right.
And then, I can't remember his name right off the top of it. Samwise Gamgee. Sean Astin is the voice.
Really?
Yeah. He's the voice of the new Raphael.
Right? It's ridiculous.
Whoa, it is awesome. And not to forget who you are, but I forgot who voices Michelangelo. But he's...
Yeah, I don't know. I think it's an unknown, I believe.
Yeah, it's not like a big name. He's actually like a traditional voice artist.
Right, but even then, it's just like what we were talking about previously. I mean, the really only one that I can distinctly pick out is Donatello's voice. The rest of them, if I was just listening to it, I couldn't tell.
Yeah, you had no idea until you looked at the cast credits. You're like, whoa, mind blown. These are who's doing this?
Yeah, exactly. And on Rob Paulsen's podcast, he has on several times all of those all of the different Turtles characters on there, which is pretty those episodes, while not the funniest, are definitely extremely interesting. I'll tell you that much. I definitely enjoyed those.
What I really like about this new take on the Turtles is they're going on their own path, but they're using the material from everything. Like Karai is in it,
Yes.
It's their version of Cry. They did take the fact that, like in the comics, Baxter Stockman was a black guy as opposed to a little, ginger white dude who becomes a fly in the original cartoon. But they used like the more comic book traditional version of Baxter Stockman. They made him really neat. Their take on how they had, what's really funny about the show is Michelangelo like names half their freaking bad guys. Like, guy becomes a dog, or he's like Dog Pound. There's a guy who gets transformed into a fish. He's Fish Face. There's like, he just makes all these stupid things. And then like, they still have freaking, like they brought in Chrome Dome. They brought in Leatherhead. They got in Metalhead. Wow, too many heads. And then just, I don't know, they threw everything. Like there's toys that I don't even remember being part of the original cartoon show. I kind of remember them being part of like the Archie comics, which was like an extension of that. But like they brought in Mutagen Man, and like he looks exactly like I remember from the toy, but it was like the current version of it. And like, I don't know, like this new take on it and like how fun it is, and still kind of keeps the seriousness, and like the action sequences are really awesome. And like after those first few episodes, the animation that I had a big problem with, like I really loved, it became very, I don't know,
natural to the series.
Yeah, it really did. It became very an expressionistic. I don't even know if that's a word, but it sounds right in my head or out there.
We'll call it.
Yeah, but it just fits. Everything really does. I love the camaraderie between them. Like, I don't know, just this new take of Turtles. If you've never watched it before, I think they have them all that you can watch on Nickelodeon's website, or find your sources. I think
they have. I know they have season 1, and I want to say it's on Amazon Prime. Because Amazon Prime is the one that has all of the old Nickelodeon stuff. And it has, now while it doesn't have the old Turtles, it does have the 2012, at least season 1, if not season 2
well, season 2 just ended like last week or something like that.
Yeah, so. And I haven't finished the very last episode, but I did see the episode where they had all split up.
I've got 8 episodes till the end, so.
You're way off, because they really start going into the whole Donnie, April, Casey Jones love triangle.
Casey Jones is my man.
that poor Casey Jones. Poor Casey Jones.
Real quick, before we jump into Bay's Turtles, a really awesome documentary that we watched.
Yes.
And just kind of more of the legacy of the Turtles. I do want to... we kind of did it last week because it was what inspired us... Or last week, but last podcast. This is what inspired us to do all about I Know That Voice.
Yeah.
Other than just Turtles being Turtles, this kind of helped fueled us, but it's going to be more or less, we're going to say, like, this is the podcast of the week, the YouTube channel of the week, or this show, or whatever like that. Something that I've been watching for quite a while has been Bat and the Sun's Superhero Beatdown. They do some amazing work. Like you've seen, like they had Batman versus Deadpool, which was really awesome. Punisher versus the Red Hood. Like they just pick 2 randoms and they like have people they'll go to Comic-Con that's like, hey, who do you think is going to win? And then they film it, and if they get really close on the ties, they might film an alternate ending to it or not. But the most recent one was Casey Jones versus Kick-Ass. And it was very Kick-Ass because of Casey Jones.
Yes, because Kick-Ass was not very kick-ass at all.
It was done well, and his ass got kicked.
Yes.
Yes. It was so good. Like, I can't remember his...
I would almost say that it got exploded.
Something that I found very comical is that I can't remember his name, John Hannigan or something like that, but he's former WWE wrestler John Morrison, who I never liked wrestling. Like, he was just like, meh, but they used him as Casey Jones, and I was like, I dig him as Casey Jones. Like, I could be okay if they wanted to use him for Casey Jones in the sequel to Bay's Turtles, which that's my segue to this, but also saying, if you have not watched it before, Bat and the Sun, any of their superhero beatdowns are awesome.
Yes.
We will make sure that we do link the Casey Jones Kick-Ass fight
Yes.
Down by our crotches.
Down here.
But Bay's Turtles, the biggest, oh my god, please don't screw this up. You kind of win me over, you kind of don't. Leading all the way up until we get to see it, which was, what, a week after it came out?
It was a week or two after it had come out, because I didn't have that need to go out and see it first thing like I do some other movies.
Yeah, like you wanted to see it because it was Turtles, but you didn't want to see it because you saw the trailers.
And I'll be honest, it wasn't even because of the animation of the character design of the Turtles themselves. I was okay with that. Actually, that didn't bother me at all. That wasn't it.
It kind of bothered me.
It's Michael Bay. And I saw Transformers 4. I'm just saying. Saying.
I want to just jump right into the Turtles one, but I think we have to lead into it. We watched a documentary literally like 20 minutes before we saw the movie. And I think that really soured the rest of the evening because the documentary was so good.
Yes, it was.
It's called amazing. Turtles Forever. I don't remember who...
No, that's a...
Oh, I'm sorry. It was straight up called Turtle Power. There we go.
Yes, there we go.
The history of the Turtles. And it was a documentary, and they showed behind the scenes of Eastman and Laird, like their home videos of them designing the comics, the stores that they were working into, their discussions with Playmates, getting into making the toys, the cartoon, behind the scenes of the film and the movies, and just the whole legacy of what Turtles built on, which really helped influence our idea to make this podcast or this episode. It was such a good documentary, and it reminded us all the reasons why we love Turtles. And then we saw Michael Bay's Turtles. And parts of the new Turtles that I was expecting to hate, I didn't hate as much. The parts that I was expecting to enjoy is where I was kind of like, yeah. But there were some pluses and some minuses. Awkwardly, a plus. I liked Megan Fox as April O'Neil.
You know, I actually did too. She didn't suck. Like, I was going in fully expecting for her to play this vapid, generic TV reporter, and that's not what she played it as. And she did an amazing job. She was, for me, the highlight actor of that movie, because all the other ones were lackluster at best for me.
Well, Will Arnett as Vernon, which was neat that they brought in Vernon from the original 80s cartoon into a film finally. Like,
true.
His take on that was fun. I'm not going to say that she was like the sole highlight, but she kind of is of the actors that we actually really got to see, like one of the more prominent ones. And I'm not saying that like her acting is completely amazing because it's Megan Fox. We know that she really can't act. But in this one, she kind of did for what she had to work with.
She did a pretty good job.
Like I said,
she did a pretty good job.
She kind of gets a pass over this movie.
I'm not complaining.
Yeah,
she did okay.
Yeah. Let's go and talk about the two scenes that really stuck out to me on making the plus. Like, this movie worked. Well, it worked because this isn't going into the scenes, and I just kind of went forward and going backward, but that's me. When the Turtles were together, their camaraderie, like, it fit. Like, it made you feel like, oh, these guys are the Turtles. It sucks that they got to grow up and get to reference stuff that, keeping up with teenage thing. Like, okay, I was saying the two parts that really work for the film. Let's go and talk about this scene, which I understand it, so I can't be mad at Michael Bay for this, because everything has to adjust to the times, to the generation.
Yeah, that makes sense.
It makes perfect sense, but because we're so traditionalist, because even though we're young at heart, like, we kind of aged ourselves, like, watching that movie.
Well, we did that today, waiting in line to get tickets for the
for the chili cook-off too. Like, how old are you again? 30?
33.
33? I'm 30. Like, we're in our 30s. Our generation of Ninja Turtles, it was Cowabunga, Totally Rad, and all this other stuff. Awesome. And that's still part of my lingo today. This one, like, it was more hip-hop infused, because that's what teenagers today get to watch. But like, the first time that you get to see like the Turtles as kids, like instead of in the original movie when they're telling the story to April O'Neil and it's like pizza, radical,
Yeah.
and like all that stuff. Like here they were watching Holler Back Girl and they were like hip hop dancing, and I was like,
really?
this is not the generation for me. Like
and that song's not even a good song. They could have at least picked a good song from the era, like even something reasonable. It was Holler Back Girl. Yeah. And that's like one of the worst songs I've ever heard in my entire life.
Like, I'm disappointed that Lexton, like, this is going to be my son's generation of live action Ninja Turtles. Like, I was like, no. Which is why I'm glad I got the originals on Blu-ray, so I could be like this.
Just don't look into their mouths when they're open on the DVD. Or on the Blu-ray. It'll freak you out, man. I might post a link to the picture by my crotch here.
By your crotch.
Because it was it's creepy, yeah. to say the least.
But what did work, being with that generation gap, there's a scene when they're going to fight Shredder, and like they made a comment earlier about Michelangelo and Raphael was being his hype man. And I was like, it was kind of funny because, like, okay, we get it. They want to be hip hop gangster styles. They want to be rapping.
Yeah.
But they're beatboxing in an elevator as they're going up to fight.
Yes.
And it was the part of this movie where, like,
it was hilarious.
It was hilarious.
It was great.
Fit. It was like, okay, this is the Turtles of this generation. I accept them completely.
Yes.
Like, I'm still very, like, I give the movie, like, a passable C. I know you won't go that far.
No, I won't.
Like, I enjoyed it, but I didn't like it. And that's weird to say, but when you see it yourself, or if you have seen it, you'll understand. But that scene made me believe in this version of the Turtles. The other part that I was really worried about, that they kept on showing in the trailers, because I hated the way it looked, was they were going down, we didn't know what was going on, like the snowy mountain, and then Raphael flips, and he hits a freaking Hummer, and it flips over, and it was just like, this looked like Michael Bay crap all over it. But that entire... Whoa, I got excited and started choking. That entire scene,
Cody.
That entire scene was badass. I love that scene. That was probably the best scene in that movie.
That scene, while I like the scene itself, Michael Bay, for the love... use different audio tracks. We do not want to hear Transformer noises in our Ninja Turtles movies. You freaking idiot.
And not just some of the sound effects. The musical score of Turtles.
It was almost exactly the same.
It was slowed down to a lower octave. And it was the same theme from Ninja Turtle from the Transformers movies.
It was awful. I mentioned that. Awful. I hate you, Michael Bay.
The first 45 seconds into the movie, I was like, dude, like, listen, what? That's the Transformers theme, and you're just like,
And speaking of intros, the intro itself was amazing until you get to the part where they start talking about Splinter.
That's my biggest complaint about the entire movie.
How? I'm fine with suspending belief when I'm going to a movie. But if you're going to tell me that someone can learn, even a normal human being can learn martial arts from a picture book, you must be retarded. You must be the dumbest person on the face of the planet. And that drove me nuts, because that's how Splinter learned how to be a martial artist, instead of mimicking his
Kamata Yoshi.
Yes, exactly.
What took me out wasn't that. Like, I was like, far-fetched, but I get it. What took me out, I don't know if I say his last name is right, but Tony Shalhoub, Monk, like, he's a good actor. He was a horrible voice for Splinter.
All the voices were
and the look horrible. Of Splinter. Like, we didn't really go into the look. We'll talk about the look of the individual turtles. The look of Splinter was just, I did not like it. Like, I don't know. It looked so crappy. Just like the look of Shredder, I wasn't a big fan of.
Yeah, me either.
Their fight scene against each other was pretty badass.
Yes, I will give it that. Although, seriously, Shredder does not need a mechanized suit. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
Shredder is not that much of a sissy. I mean, they even show him whooping the crap out of somebody else. Like, with his hands tied behind his back.
Yeah.
And you have to give him this Transformers-esque suit to wear to fight the turtles.
It was kind of like the exo suit from G.I. Joe 1.
Right? Like, words cannot explain how badly I wanted this movie to be good. And it had an awesome plot line.
And great, like, it's a huge, great missed opportunity.
Yes, it really is. Because when I go and look at it, this is what I see. I see a movie that had great storyline,
a known franchise,
the
built-in fan base.
Yeah, and even their character selection, it was pretty decent. But then they screwed it all up with bad acting, bad voice acting choices for who they chose to voice act. The actual writing was at best garbage. And you get bits and pieces of it and you see it flow and you're like, this could have been an amazing movie, and it just literally fell on the floor. And it was terrible.
See, I'll give it a little.
It could have been
a little bit of a pass because of my affinity and love for the Turtles. Like, I was very disappointed. Like, we walked out of it and we were like, that wasn't that bad. But when we broke it down, we started hating it even more.
Yes.
So I started going on the plus sides. It was the first time.
He's trying.
It was the first time that we did get to see, even though it was very quick and just for a little laugh, we did get to see the Turtle Van cast the entire movie. And I'd be okay with it. They can keep Will Arnett and they can keep Megan Fox and they can keep.
I thought those two were pretty good.
Is that his name? Is the bad guy who helped Shredder out?
I can't remember what his name. It'll be.
He's a great actor, and
you'll see a tag right about here with that information because I'm not entirely sure.
But they can keep the live action actors.
Yeah,
but any of the CG stuff they can change. But I know that it did actually surprisingly better off than what they thought, and I do think with home video that it's made its money back. We're going to get a sequel, which they've kind of already announced. And I'm very excited for the prospects of a sequel because I know it's going to be Bay's company that's still going to be producing it, but the director, which I can't remember his name, I don't even bother looking it up. He did say that if he gets to make a sequel, he's bringing in Rocksteady and Bebop.
Thank you.
So as long as
that's who you should have in the movie, and not some retarded side stupidity.
So I don't even care. Like, even if they want to use everybody the same, please just make Raphael not wear a full do-rag, just giving him his regular bandana.
Yes, please.
And I'll give you a pass on that, because I did not like that look at all.
Yes.
But, actually, I said all the actors were kind of horrible as the voice counterparts. I will give one of the Turtles a pass. Michelangelo.
I will agree with you on that. Michelangelo was pretty spot on. Donatello had his points, but it wasn't solid like Michelangelo was.
Yeah, Michelangelo was pretty solid, and his look even wasn't that hard. Like, it was like, hey, I'm wearing my bandana, and I've got a grunge, jacket tied around my waist and pants. Like, it was weird, but like, I didn't hate that one.
Yeah, but he was still that super cheesy turtle.
Yeah.
So it worked out, and I will give Michelangelo gets a pass.
And like I said, the suit of Leonardo, or the armor that he had, it made him look like I built this out of a sewer, but it's very samurai-esque with his like the bamboo chest piece or whatever the hell, and like his look looked right. I just didn't really care for Knoxville's voice.
Yeah.
We already talked about Raphael and Donatello. I get the fact that they were trying to be like, hey, he's the nerdy guy, he's the techie guy, but did he have to have glasses? And then not only did he have glasses, like always wearing that headpiece and that little wire that always dangled. Like, I don't know. It bothered me.
It really kind of reminded me of that guy from Hellboy. At least I think that's what I'm thinking of. I could be thinking of something.
Abe Sapien, when he had his thing out there. Yeah, it was weird. It's just like, I like the fact that they did try to make every turtle look very unique.
Yes.
It just didn't really flesh out as well as I wanted it to. But
didn't really work.
Before we skip over this, which we're about done with a whole Turtles episode for right now, but before we're done with this, the 2014 movie, let's go ahead and show that elevator scene.
MC Mikey. MC Ray.
All right, so that part was awesome.
Yes, it was.
It was so good.
I was dying laughing. It didn't quite bring me to tears like 22 Jump Street did, but actually I couldn't even breathe. And have you seen it yet?
I wasn't as impressed as that one.
Not even at the scene. You know the scene I'm talking about, right? Yeah. Well, anyways.
So that is kind of the rundown of most of the Turtles that we have to talk about here. I do want to just do a quick little overview. I'm going to take the reins on this one because I know you have not been as well versed into them as I have.
Yes.
But I'm just going to take a quick thing to talk about the comics because there's a shit ton of comics. There was the Mirage series, which is the original. The Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Adventures, that was done by Archie Comics, which was kind of a spin-off of the show. That was always fun. There was the Dreamwave or DreamWorks, I don't know, Dreamwave. Theirs was a cool style, didn't really care for it. IDW, their Turtle series is effing amazing. Like, it is so fucking good. It is very, like, has a neat take on it, which is kind of weird because it is actually helped published by Nickelodeon, even though it has no relationship to that show, but it always has their copyrights down at the bottom for it. Their take on the new Ninja Turtles, like their history, their way they built up, how badass it is. Like, I don't care about spoiling this because this is like 6 or 12 issues ago, whenever the hell you listen to it, but like Leonardo gets brainwashed by Shredder and becomes like a sub-commander of the Foot Clan, and like having Raphael, Donatello, Michelangelo trying to like get their brother back, it actually becomes very emotional, and like Leonardo's Foot Clan garb is badass. Like, I will make sure that while we're talking, somehow we edited in a picture of that because it is so freaking cool.
Yeah, I think I can put it like right here-ish in this section. I think I can get that done.
Can we Vanna White it around this time? Ooh. Like, it was badass. That comic rules. If you have not been reading it, I do have the entire series. It's time for you to jump on the Turtle bandwagon.
I probably will.
Jump on the Turtle wagon, man.
I barely have enough time to read the comics I really like right now.
So read
like
Turtles.
I've been really getting into a couple of amazing, which we'll probably talk about. We might even have a specific, maybe that'll be episode 4.
Okay.
Since we already have episode 2 and 3 pretty much planned out, because all the new shows coming out in another abortion of a movie.
Let's try. All right. So let's do a quick rundown.
Yes.
Favorite turtle?
Ooh. 80 series Raph, 2012 series Donatello.
You just want to suck Rob Paulson's dick, or
No. I just
all right because he's the same voice,
or Michelangelo, because Michelangelo in the new series is pretty freaking awesome, and you'll find out in coming episodes that he just like magically turns into a badass.
He is a badass. That is just awkward. I'm
Yes.
still going to say he's rude yet cool. Raphael, hands down, always my favorite Ninja Turtle.
Raphael was always up there, but it's for me it's floating. It depends on what we're watching, and then even within what's happening, during that stuff.
Like
so it kinda changes.
I did like Michelangelo and Donatello, but like Leonardo's always been my least favorite turtle, except for in the IDW comic. Like he's kind of one of my favorites, but. Like I said, Raphael's always been top dog. I love him and Casey Jones and all that stuff, but always great. Best villain of the series? Any of them?
Best villain.
Trick question. It's always Shredder.
No, it's not always Shredder.
It's always Shredder.
No. Oh man. I would almost have to go with Krang because Krang reminds me of the Brain from Animaniacs, right? Like he always comes up like he's super demented and kind of goes off on these wild things. He's going to take over everything, and they always fail because they're cheesy.
So you're saying Krang from the 80s?
Krang from the 80s, not Krang now because Krang now sucks.
No,
Krang now is horrible.
Is hilarious because it's a hive mind and it's always spoken about into the third and sometimes the fourth person, which that is possible if you watch the show. It is
so awkward. Like I can't even. It's no new Krang. Old Krang is amazing.
Yeah. Like I said, I would say your favorite comic, but you haven't been reading the comics. IDW series, hands down. Read it.
I'll have to check it out.
I'll
check it out.
Turtles in Time.
Yes, Turtles in Time. Or I do have an affinity for the side-scroller Turtles 2. Right? Or was that Turtles 3? The side-scroller one.
The side-scroller one would have been just Turtles arcade game, which was on the NES, and then it became that. So yeah.
Yeah, that also holds a special place in my heart.
Yeah, because it really was. It was like the two arcade ones was Turtles the Arcade and then Turtles in Time. And then it was Turtles 2 and then Turtles 4 on the Super Nintendo and 3 on the
all the games after 1 kind of got balanced out and were actually really good. Like all of them, like even up into the Super Nintendo stuff. At least out of the stuff that I've played at any rate.
Yeah. Is there a particular cartoon episode that stands out from either series?
Oh, it's really been a while since I've watched any of them. So I've been watching the new ones, but nothing really stands out. They're all really good. And it's been so long since I've actually watched the original series that I wish I had something that stuck out, but
I always remembered the episode from the original series with the pizza aliens that always popped out of the sewer and stuff. Like,
I remember.
I don't know if they were aliens, but like they're the pizza monsters.
Yeah,
that always sticks out, and always the Rat King episodes always stuck out for me. From
the Rat King ones were pretty interesting, but there was one when they were in the series. It was like coming up on like the season finale, and they're getting ready to actually go in and attack the Technodrome, and they're going under trying to track it and find it. All the ones where they're and it was going under the city and they were chasing it down. Like that was one of my favorite ones that I enjoyed quite a bit.
From the new show, I really enjoyed the spookiness of the squirrel, the monster squirrels. I can't remember what Michelangelo called them, but have you got to that in season 2?
I think I might have skipped over that one.
It was one of their Halloween based episodes, and then like they brought back up to it, and it was like they had a weird name for them. Like I said, Michelangelo, he names almost all the villains in it.
Yeah,
that was a really
over that one.
That was a really fun episode.
Yeah. Oh, but here's a teaser for the new series. They're bringing in the rabbit.
Usagi Yojimbo.
Right here, buddy. That right there, favorite character hands down. like if you go outside of the Turtles, that's my favorite character. That rabbit was awesome.
Very much so.
Love the rabbit.
All right, well, I think we're going to go ahead and wrap it up right now. This has been a very turtle-filled, as I have cleaned my plate of the pizza that I was eating.
Yes, and I unfortunately did not eat pizza as I'm trying to lose my extra baggage, so to speak.
Yeah, I need some more pizza padding, so I'll lose all that stuff later, but I don't know if Lexon's going to be rough and tough with me when he comes back. Right now he's over at his aunt's. I mean, he might come over here and want to try to beat me up, so I might need some more pizza padding.
We'll see what happens if he gets a little out of hand.
Yeah, I'll probably try to feed him some pizza.
We'll probably break down all this stuff first. But at any rate, here, since we're ending the episode, like us on Facebook. Links down there. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. What else do we got? Oh, we got all kinds of... We got Twitter. We have SoundCloud if you just want to get some audio of this and listen to it separately without all the video. We'll have that in there as well.
I will say for this episode, it's very video clip heavy. So please...
Well, it's not terrible.
Well, not terrible. Like, you could get over it. We'll have the sound of the clips, but it'd be much better for you to see it.
Yeah, exactly.
And that way you can see us at all the times. We point to our crotch.
There's stuff here. There's stuff that's down here that has valuable information. We'll also have link to our other podcasts, Cody's DC Netcast with Dan.
Yeah. And our other shows, because you mentioned all your shows. There's the DC Netcast, there's the DC Batcast, which will be making its return after, I don't know how long of a hiatus.
Entirely too long.
Yeah. We got Maverick Hunters, and then there's going to be some future shows that I don't want to go all about, but I will go ahead and drop at least one hint. The Menage Pod?
Yes, the Menage Pod. We still don't know what it's going to be about yet.
Oh, I kind of do.
Oh, do you now? Mm. Oh, and Dan also has an exclusive one coming out here pretty soon.
There's an exclusive one.
Oh, okay. So, we can't talk about that yet. Dan doesn't know.
The first thing about that podcast, we don't talk about that podcast.
When are we doing that? Are we doing that next week?
A couple weeks. We'll talk. We'll talk when we're not on camera.
Okay.
Yeah. Dun dun dun.
So, yes, please like, subscribe, everything. We want to hear your comments too. Comment down below. Let us know what you think. We care what you think. We want to make sure that we're giving you what you want and also what we want to give.
Do you have any final words? Because if not, I have one final word for the show.
Is it Cowabunga, dude?
Cowabunga.
Yes, absolutely.
Man, I love being a turtle.